Slay.
Hello everyone, long time no see. My name is Kit and I was the producer of this show during the 23-24 school year. I had a segment here called Kit's Corner, which is what you're watching right now, where I would yap about music and history that I found interesting. Jolie has asked me back to discuss one of my favorite topics, Irish music. Now, I promise it's not too random. I've been living in Dublin for the past 6 months getting my master's degree, so I feel like I've lived here long enough to be an expert in the field. I'm just going to jump right in. There's 3 main categories that I'm going to be talking about, but I'll be able to tie them all back together at the end, because what's Kids Corner without a little history lesson? So let's get started. I've decided to ditch the mic stand because it was annoying me, but like I said, we're jumping right in. So the first 2 artists I'm going to be talking about are what I like to call a little something for everyone. Those artists are CMAT and Inhaler. Now, I know that Hayden Grace is our resident Inhaler expert, so hopefully I don't say anything that, makes her too upset, but I'm trying my best here. Also, hi Hayden Grace, I miss you. So, Inhaler is what I would consider to be like general indie music. It's a band consisting of Irish Nepo Baby royalty and his friends, aka Bono's son, Elijah Houston. If you want music that's got like a nice vibe to it, but you can also listen to it with your dad, I think Inhaler is the band for you. I don't personally listen to them, so I can't really recommend a favorite song of theirs, but they did just release a song in November called Hole in the Ground, so check that out. Next is CMAT, aka the Princess of Dunboyne. I think The Guardian kind of describes her perfectly, and I'm going to read this quote. Her songs are mournful, yet accessible, emotionally literate and cleverly crafted, but crucially with a sense of humor. So she reminds me a lot of Chapel Roan in her style of music, but she also uses her music most recently on her album Eurocountry to tackle difficult topics such as the Celtic Tiger, which was the recession in Ireland, as well as image issues, all the things that like a girl in her 20s would be going through. And a lot like Chapel Roan, her music is so fun that half the time you don't really realize that it's sad. I'm not really familiar with her music, but I know one of her songs went viral on TikTok called Take a Sexy Picture of Me. So I'm going to go with that one because it's catchy and I like it. Now, here's a sexy picture of me in front of her mural in Dumboy Village. Okay, so the next 2 artists that I'm going to be talking about are what I would like to call nice Irish lads. These bands are Kingfisher and Amble. These 2 bands are heavily influenced by traditional Irish folk music, and when I listen to them, I feel like I'm frolicking in a meadow. And full disclosure, I am grouping them into one section and talking about them together because, much to the dismay of all of my Irish friends, these 2 bands are interchangeable to me. They make very similar music, and I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just an observation, a fact. But if you like artists like Noah Kahan or Hozier, who, by the way, I do know is Irish, however, he's globally known. He's mainstream. These artists, they're not mainstream. But if you like those artists, then you would love these bands. My song recommendations, Next to Me by Kingfisher and Mary's Pub by Amble. And also, I definitely didn't say Mary's Pub because I was writing that script in a Mary's Pub, a real one. So, my last and favorite group out of this 3 is what I would ever so lovingly call hoods. These bands are Fontaines DC and Kneecap. While our nice Irish lads write songs about the joy and whimsy of Ireland, Kneecap and Fontaines are punk bands who need everyone to know what's really happening here. So, starting with Fontaines DC, who might actually be the most well-known band on this list, besides Inhaler, of course. Their album Romance was nominated for 2 Grammys last year. So, graduates from BIM, aka the Music Academy here in Dublin, aka the building down the street from my house. These lads beautifully mix modern issues with an old school sound. I think they kind of remind me of the Cranberries in both sound and message. If I'm being honest, they really bring back like that 90s grunge monotone, and there's just something about listening to a Fontaine song that just makes me feel like a badass, if I'm being honest. Now, I Love You is probably one of my favorite tunes of theirs, but I do always get Boys in the Better Land stuck in my head, so I had to include both of them. Now, last but certainly not least is probably my favorite band on this list, Kneecap. There's plenty of reasons why I like their music, including their politics, but I think above all, I just love their sound. It's not even entirely new or innovative. They kind of remind me a lot of the Beastie Boys, and I had to mention them. But I see three white boys in a rap group, and I just have to make the comparison. I'm sorry, you know me. But they also have a sound that kind of makes me nostalgic. And by nostalgic, I mean for one particular album, and that album is, of course, The Money Store by Death Grips. Their most recent single, Liar's Tale, sounds so much like I've seen footage that I had to text both my brother and my dad about it, and they both agreed with me. My three favorites by them, and it was hard to narrow down, but I did pick three, are Harrow Road, It's Been Ages, and Avigalenia. Now, I might have pronounced that wrong. It is in Irish. I tried my best, but it's a banger, so you should check it out. So, if you're wondering what connects all of these artists, well, it's quite simple. Irish nationalism. Now, I know that word is scary to Americans, but over here it means something completely different. The Republic of Ireland went through over 800 years of oppression, only kind of ending in 1998. They're not a perfect country, and their peace had to be fought for. These artists all know this, and they use their music to convey these messages. Just like when Dolores O'Riordan of the Cranberries was singing about the Irish Civil War back in 1994 on Zombie, they can't help but get political. Music is resistance, it always has been. It's in their blood, and I think the Irish have perfected it.